don't know you. Stop contacting me," he texted her. I sat there reading his message to the pregnant woman who showed me proof he cheated, my hands shaking. The paternity test came back 99.7% certain. I'm going insane and need Reddit to tell me if I'm being rational or just paranoid. I 29F married David 31M 4 years ago after getting out of a toxic relationship where my ex constantly gaslit me. David felt safe, stable, honest, no drama, but lately something's off. 3 weeks ago, David went to his friend's bachelor party in Austin. He was weirdly excited, kept saying, "What happens in Austin stays in Austin." When he came back, he was distant and picking fights. Then this woman, Rebecca, 26F, shows up at my office. She's pregnant, says she met David at an after-party that weekend. Showed me screenshots of her trying to contact him. He never responded. When I confronted David, he got that cold, manipulative anger I remember from my ex. Said I was doing it again with my trust issues. Claims he blacked out but knows himself and would never cheat. Then turned it on me, why believe some random woman over my husband? Here's what's messing with my head. My ex used this exact playbook. But what if David's right? What if I am projecting? Suspicious stuff include hotel keycard in his wallet from different hotel, he says overflow booking. His friends acting weird, won't make eye contact, getting defensive, found a woman's earring in his jacket, turned out to be coworkers. His whole personality changed after the trip. However, I do have serious trust issues from past trauma. His explanations are reasonable. Rebecca could be lying about who the father is. And paternity test won't be accurate for weeks. I'm checking his location obsessively, going through his stuff, sleeping in separate rooms. I hate who I'm becoming, but I can't stop. Whether he cheated or not, this is destroying us. I can't eat, sleep, or focus. Every conversation feels like an interrogation. Reddit, am I being paranoid because of past trauma, or are these real red flags? Should I demand a paternity test and potentially destroy my marriage if I'm wrong? AITA for not trusting my husband when he says he didn't cheat? Update 1. Thank you for all the responses. The tough love helped me realize I needed to investigate, but nothing I've found is black and white. I'm more confused than ever, and my marriage is falling apart regardless of what actually happened. First, I met Rebecca at a neutral coffee shop downtown. She's not the calculating homewrecker some of you suggested. She's scared, broke, and genuinely conflicted about disrupting my life. I've been going back and forth on this for weeks, she said, hands wrapped around her coffee cup like a lifeline. I don't want to ruin your marriage, but I keep thinking about what I'd want to know if I were you. She showed me her pregnancy documentation 12 weeks along, due date matches the timeline perfectly. But she admitted she'd been drinking heavily that night too. We were both really drunk, she said quietly. He kept talking about his wife, how perfect you were. It made me feel terrible afterward, like I'd helped him betray someone who didn't deserve it. What struck me was her reluctance to pursue this. She's clearly struggling financially, works freelance with inconsistent income, but she wasn't asking for money or making demands. She just seemed like someone trying to do the right thing while terrified of the consequences. I've been going through David's stuff like a crazy person. I needed to document everything systematically. Here's what I found. Venmo payments from that weekend that looked suspicious at first, but they were legitimate group expenses for dinners and activities. Different cologne in his luggage that I'd never smelled, but it turned out to be a free sample from the hotel spa. A woman's earring in his jacket pocket that made my world stop. Just stopped. I sat there holding this tiny piece of jewelry that could destroy everything, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. But it belonged to his coworker, Michelle, who borrowed the jacket for a client presentation. Every piece of evidence has an innocent explanation. Either David is incredibly good at covering his tracks, or I'm seeing conspiracy where none exists. I decided to approach his friends individually, starting with Jake since he seemed most uncomfortable at Marcus's engagement party. Jake shifted uncomfortably when I cornered him by the bar, avoiding my eyes. Look, David's a good guy, okay? I mean, we were all pretty drunk that night. He trailed off. But something happened, I pressed. I didn't see anything specific, but he came back to our room around 4 a.m. acting different. Guilty, maybe? I don't know, Sarah. We were all wasted. Different how? Just quiet, wouldn't talk about where he'd been, made us all promise not to mention the time gap to anyone. Jake's discomfort was obvious. Said it would cause problems at home for no reason. Ryan was almost aggressive when I approached him at the gym. Jesus, Sarah, what is this, an interrogation? He snapped when I asked casual questions about the weekend. You're trying to destroy David over nothing. Wives who don't trust their husbands deserve what they get. His reaction was so over-the-top defensive it made me more suspicious. Why would he care so much about my marriage unless he had something to hide? Tom just changes the subject every time I bring up Austin. Too drunk to remember much, he says, but his discomfort is palpable. Marcus is caught in the middle. His fiancée Amanda has been asking me if everything's okay because I've seemed off lately. Marcus, please, I begged him yesterday. I just need to know what happened to my husband that night. Sarah, I can't. Look, nothing good comes from digging up bachelor party stuff. Some things are better left alone. So something did happen? I didn't say that. But his face said everything. Meanwhile, David's response to my investigation has been textbook manipulation. Love bombing with surprise flowers, romantic dinners, extra affection when I seem close to believing him. I bought your favorite wine, he said last night, setting up an elaborate dinner. I thought we could talk about us instead of all this other stuff. When I asked about the timeline gaps Jake mentioned, his tone shifted completely. You're becoming obsessive like with Tyler, he said, voice cold. I can't believe you're choosing some stranger over your husband. Then came the victim playing. I can't believe my own wife doesn't trust me, after everything we've built together. Most manipulative of all, he's weaponizing therapy. Maybe we should try couples counseling, he suggested, to fix your trust issues. As if this is entirely my problem. I restarted individual therapy with Dr. Martinez. She's helping me separate past trauma from current reality, but it's exhausting work. Your history doesn't invalidate your current concerns, she told me yesterday. Trust issues don't automatically make you wrong about this situation. The problem is, I'm starting to hate who I'm becoming. Checking his location constantly, going through his things, analyzing every conversation for hidden meanings. Whether David cheated or not, our marriage is crumbling. We're sleeping in separate rooms now. I feel like a criminal in my own home, he said when I asked him to sleep in the guest room. I can't stand lying next to someone I don't trust, I replied. We're both right. The worst part is how this is affecting everything else. I can't focus at work, I'm snapping at friends, and I've started avoiding social situations. Even Emma is walking on eggshells around me. You look exhausted, she said yesterday. This is eating you alive. She's right. I hired a private investigator yesterday, but she warned me that a 3-week-old trail is mostly cold. Security footage is deleted, witnesses' memories fade, she explained. Bachelor party weekends are designed for plausible deniability. I'll do what I can, but don't expect miracles. The paternity test won't be accurate for another 6 weeks. So I'm living in limbo, questioning everything, destroying my marriage either way while waiting for science to maybe give me answers. Dr. Martinez asked me something that's been haunting me. If the paternity test comes back negative, will you be able to trust David again? I realized I don't know. The lies about his timeline, the friend's obvious discomfort, his manipulation tactics even if he didn't cheat, something fundamental has shifted between us. How do you come back from this level of distrust? How do you rebuild a marriage when you've turned into someone who searches through pockets and checks phone records? Even if David is completely innocent, I'm not sure we can survive what this investigation has revealed about both of us. Update 2. We've been separated for 3 weeks. It wasn't a dramatic fight, just a mutual recognition that we couldn't continue living in the same space while everything was unresolved. I'm staying with my sister Emma, and honestly, the distance has given me clarity I didn't expect. Before separating, we tried couples counseling with Dr. Patricia Williams. The first few sessions were brutal. David presented as the reasonable, hurt husband dealing with a paranoid wife. I looked unstable, anxious, accusatory, obsessed with conspiracy theories. Sarah seems unable to accept my explanations, David told Dr. Williams during session 2. She's turned our home into an interrogation room. I'm not crazy, I said, voice shaking. Something happened that night and everyone's lying about it. Dr. Williams initially seemed to favor his narrative. I left those early sessions feeling more isolated than ever. Session 4 changed everything. Dr. Williams started noticing David's subtle manipulation tactics, how he'd answer questions for me, his tendency to redirect blame to my trust issues. the way he'd bring up my past relationship to discredit my concerns. David, I notice you often reference Sarah's previous relationship when she expresses concerns, Dr. Williams observed. Can you address her current questions without bringing up her past? I'm just trying to help her see the pattern, David replied smoothly. She did this same thing with Tyler. But we're talking about your marriage now. Sarah's asking about specific timeline discrepancies. Can you address those directly? David couldn't. Every response circled back to my issues or paranoia. Dr. Williams called it emotional invalidation after the session. It's a red flag regardless of whether he cheated, she told me privately. Working with Dr. Martinez individually has been eye-opening. We've been exploring why I married David so quickly after Tyler. After Tyler's emotional abuse, I was attracted to David's stability, I told her yesterday. But you've helped me see I confused emotional unavailability with steadiness. How so? David never yells or calls names like Tyler did, but he dismisses my feelings just as effectively. Tyler was obvious chaos. David is subtle chaos, always something to figure out, fix, or prove. The scariest realization: I've been trauma bonding, seeking relationships that feel familiar even when they're unhealthy. Living apart has revealed so much about David's true character. Initially, he sent loving texts, brought me coffee at work, played the devoted husband trying to win me back. I miss you so much, he texted. Come home and we'll work this out together. But when I didn't respond as expected, his messages turned frustrated, then angry. You're punishing me for something I didn't do, one text read. You're just like your mother destroying a good marriage over paranoia. That comparison to my mom, who left my dad after his affair, felt like a knife twist. Separation changed how people treat me. Some mutual friends clearly side with David. They think I'm overreacting and destroying a good marriage. But others have started sharing concerns they'd kept quiet. Amanda, Marcus's fiancée, pulled me aside at the grocery store last week. I probably shouldn't say this, she whispered, but David made some inappropriate comments about other women at our engagement party. After you went to the bathroom, he was rating the bridesmaids. It made me uncomfortable. My coworker Lisa admitted something similar. When David picked you up from work that time, he commented on my dress in a way that felt off. I didn't want to say anything because I thought maybe I was being oversensitive. Even Emma finally opened up. I never fully trusted David, she confessed. He always seemed too smooth, like he was performing being the perfect husband rather than just being himself. 3 weeks into separation, Jake showed up at Emma's house. He looked terrible, dark circles, stubble, clearly struggling. Sarah, I can't keep lying to you, he said, collapsing into Emma's kitchen chair. I haven't slept properly in weeks. My heart started racing. What happened, Jake? David did disappear for several hours that night. We all assumed he passed out somewhere, but when he came back to the hotel room around 4 a.m., he was different, guilty, kept saying he'd fucked up but wouldn't explain what he meant. Why didn't you tell me this before? He made us all promise not to mention the time gap to anyone, said it would cause problems at home for no reason. We thought he just got too drunk and embarrassed himself, maybe threw up in public or something. Jake pulled out his phone, showing me screenshots from their group chat, the one David wasn't included in. Look at the timestamps, he said. We were all messaging about where David was. Ryan was getting worried around 2 a.m. Tom thought maybe he'd hooked up with someone but would never actually do it. The evidence was right there. Hours of concerned messages about David's whereabouts, followed by relief when he returned, then confusion about his strange behavior. There's something else, Jake said quietly. The hotel keycard you found? That was from the hotel where the afterparty was, different from where we were staying. I know because I was there earlier that night before we went back to our place. I met with Rebecca again yesterday. She's 20 weeks pregnant now, showing, still struggling financially. She's been scared to push the issue because she's worried about being seen as a homewrecker. I keep thinking about what his wife must be going through, she said, hand resting on her belly. I never wanted to be the other woman in someone's story. She revealed that David did contact her once, a brief, dismissive text saying, I don't know you, stop contacting me. She showed me the screenshot, and seeing his words in black and white made my stomach turn. He acted like I didn't exist, she said sadly. Like that night never happened. The financial stress of maintaining 2 households is overwhelming. Therapy costs are adding up, and I'm looking at potential legal fees. David's mother has been calling constantly, crying, saying I'm abandoning the marriage during David's most difficult time. "He needs you now more than ever," she sobbed yesterday. "This work stress is killing him, and you're making it worse. The guilt is overwhelming some days. What if I am destroying a good man over nothing?" But then I remember how I felt living with the constant doubt, the way David made me question my own perceptions, the exhaustion of trying to prove my worth in my own marriage. Even if he's innocent of cheating, something fundamental is broken between us. I still have moments where I think I'm overreacting. David's version of events is so consistent, so reasonable. What if Jake is misremembering? What if Rebecca is confused about the father? What if I'm destroying a good marriage because of my own baggage? Those doubts are normal, Dr. Martinez assured me yesterday. Gaslighting is designed to make you question reality. The fact that you're questioning yourself doesn't mean you're wrong. The paternity test is scheduled for next week. But I'm realizing this isn't just about whether David cheated, it's about whether we can rebuild trust and respect. Right now, looking at the man who dismissed a pregnant woman's attempts to contact him, who convinced his friends to lie for him, who used my deepest fears against me, I don't think we can. And maybe that's okay. Maybe some things are too broken to fix, and maybe recognizing that is growth, not failure. Update 3. The paternity test confirmed what we all suspected: David is the father with 99.7% certainty. But by the time we got results, I'd already made peace with ending our marriage. Here's how the last few months unfolded and what I've learned about myself. David's confession didn't come all at once. First, he admitted to kissing someone when the paternity results came back. "It was just a kiss," he said, sitting across from me in Dr. Williams' office. I was drunk and feeling sorry for myself about the promotion. It didn't mean anything. "David," Dr. Williams said gently, "Sarah deserves the complete truth." Over several more therapy sessions, the full story emerged. He was drunk and feeling sorry for himself about being passed over for promotion twice. Rebecca was at the afterparty, also drunk, dealing with her own relationship problems. They talked for hours about their struggles, found comfort in each other's pain. "It felt like emotional cheating that became physical," he finally admitted. "We connected over feeling like failures. One thing led to another." The worst part wasn't the sex, it was the elaborate cover-up. He'd convinced his friends to lie, deleted messages, created false timelines. When Rebecca contacted him, he panicked and tried to make the problem disappear. "I told myself it never really happened," he said, tears streaming. "If I didn't acknowledge it, maybe it would just go away." In couples therapy, David finally opened up about his deeper fears. His father left when he was 8, and his mother always said it was because men can't be trusted. He'd built his entire identity around being different: reliable, faithful, stable. The cheating shattered his self-image, so he convinced himself it didn't really happen. "The lies were as much about protecting my own ego as protecting our marriage," he admitted. "I couldn't face being the kind of man I'd always despised." Dr. Williams worked with us for 2 more months. David showed genuine remorse and commitment to change. He started individual therapy, joined a support group for people who'd cheated, became completely transparent with his phone and schedule. He even wrote Rebecca a heartfelt apology letter. "I'm sorry for dismissing you and making you feel invisible," he wrote. "You deserved honesty and support, not denial and cruelty." But I realized something crucial during those sessions. I was going through the motions of reconciliation without actually wanting to reconcile. "Do you want to save this marriage?" Dr. Williams asked me directly during session 12. I sat there for a long moment, feeling the weight of the question. "I should want to," I said finally. "He's doing everything right now, but I keep fantasizing about being single more than about saving our marriage." That was my breakthrough moment. Love isn't enough without trust and respect, and even David's genuine efforts felt like too little, too late. The decision to divorce wasn't dramatic, it was a slow realization that some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. Even when both people are trying their hardest. "I forgive you," I told David during our last counseling session. "But forgiveness doesn't mean staying. I need to choose myself this time." Rebecca and I developed a respectful, boundaried relationship throughout this process. She had a healthy baby girl, Sophia, 3 months ago. David stepped up financially and emotionally, which surprised everyone, including me. He pays more than court-ordered support, visits regularly, and genuinely seems to love being a father. He's actually really good with her. Rebecca told me when we ran into each other at the pediatrician's office. Whatever happened between us, he's committed to being present for Sophia. Rebecca handles co-parenting with grace and keeps drama to a minimum. She never badmouths David to me, never tries to get information about our divorce, just focuses on raising her daughter. I respect her for that. Our divorce was finalized last month. It wasn't contentious. David was cooperative, partly from guilt but also from genuine growth. We split assets fairly, kept mutual friends out of it as much as possible. His family still blames me for not fighting for the marriage, but my family and real friends supported my decision. "You tried everything," Emma said when I signed the papers. "Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let go." Individual therapy with Dr. Martinez has been transformative. We've worked on recognizing my pattern of choosing partners who need fixing, understanding the difference between intuition and anxiety, learning that forgiveness doesn't require staying. "You've been choosing partners who keep you slightly off balance," she observed. "Chaos felt like passion, and uncertainty felt like love." The biggest revelation: Tyler was obvious chaos, drama, fights, emotional manipulation. David was subtle chaos, always something to figure out, fix, or prove. Healthy love shouldn't require detective work. "The right person won't make you feel crazy," Dr. Martinez said. "They'll make you feel secure enough to be yourself." Healing isn't linear. I had periods where I questioned everything, wondered if I gave up too easily, felt guilty about destroying David's relationship with his friends. But therapy helped me understand that growth requires sitting with discomfort, not avoiding it. I'm not rushing into dating, but I'm doing the work to be ready for healthy love. Learning to trust my instincts without paranoia, practicing direct communication instead of people-pleasing, setting boundaries early and consistently. I'm living in my own apartment downtown now, got a promotion at work, reconnected with friends I'd neglected during the marriage drama. I started rock climbing, joined a book club, volunteer at a women's shelter on weekends. I'm becoming the person I want to be, not just the person someone else needs. David and I are cordial but not friends. He's doing well in therapy, has a good relationship with Sophia, and seems genuinely committed to personal growth. I hope he finds happiness, but I don't need to be part of his journey anymore. "I'm sorry I wasn't the husband you deserved," he said when we signed the divorce papers. "You were right to leave." "We both did the best we could with what we knew then," I replied. "I hope you find peace." This experience taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let go. Not every problem needs to be solved, not every relationship needs to be saved, and not every ending is a failure. To anyone in similar situations, trust your instincts, but also do the work to understand why you're in situations that require so much detective work. Healthy relationships don't make you feel crazy. They make you feel secure enough to be yourself. 6 months after our divorce was finalized, I'm dating someone new slowly, with clear boundaries and honest communication. His name is Alex, he's a high school teacher, and the biggest difference is how easy it feels. No games, no confusion, no need to decode his behavior. When I told him about my divorce on our third date, he listened without judgment. "That sounds really hard," he said simply, "but you handled it with a lot of strength. I'm glad you chose yourself. No manipulation, no dismissal, no attempts to fix me, just acceptance and respect." David is engaged to someone new, a coworker named Jennifer who knew about his situation from the beginning. Rebecca says he's a devoted father and seems genuinely happy. Our divorce was the right choice for everyone involved. "I'm grateful it ended when it did," David texted me on what would have been our 6th anniversary. "We both deserved better than what we were giving each other." He's right. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you leads to the best thing that could happen to you. I'm living proof. This whole ordeal lasted 8 months from start to finish, but I wouldn't change any of it. I learned the difference between love and attachment, between forgiveness and acceptance, between healing and fixing. I learned that my instincts aren't broken, they were just buried under years of trying to be the perfect wife. Most importantly, I learned that choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. To everyone who followed this journey and offered support, thank you. Your comments helped me see clearly when everything felt foggy. Sometimes strangers on the internet understand your situation better than the people closest to you. I'm happy now. Really, genuinely happy. Not the performed happiness I had in my marriage, but the quiet contentment that comes from knowing yourself and choosing accordingly.